Okay, hello, welcome back to another video. As you can see by the title, thumbnail, and what you see here displayed on your phone screen, your computer screen, your tablet screen, your Samsung fridge display screen, whatever screen you happen to be watching this on, your TV screen, I do hope. Will Taylor chess on the big screen. I mean, what could be a better way to settle in for the evening? Anyway, as you can see by all those things, I had the exceedingly fortunate opportunity to play the one and only Witty Alien at a couple games of rapid chess. This video is one of those games. The first one with white, I got absolutely toasted. I played a little bit passively, a little reserved. It's hard to be my true romantic attacking self when on the other side of the board sits a god of exactly that. But the second game was a very interesting fight. Here it is, hopefully you enjoy. There's the live footage and then a fairly deep analysis into the game. So at the risk of being cliche, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Let's go for a little Alekhine's defense. Hopefully, or not hopefully actually, I'm very scared, but I believe Witty goes for this line with c4, knight b6 and then a4. I mean, it's the line I play as well. It's a frankly disgusting line. And after we play a5 here, will we see rook a3, the Tate variation? Oh my lord, we do. Okay, at this point d6 I believe is the move. He's probably going to swing over and try and play d4. I think my general plan is I want a bishop on f5, I want a knight on c6. We want to try and exploit this this hole here. He has pushed the a and the c pawns, and so b4 becomes quite a soft square where we might be able to put that pony. And if that could couple up with the bishop here, we might be looking at a fun time. Actually, I take like this, I'm going to have to develop the bishop via this way, and he's going to toast me with h4, h5, and rook g3 ideas. So it might actually be preferable just to take this way, to allow the bishop to e7, castle, and not have a kind of perturbed pawn structure around the king. I don't know, might hit me with rook e3 check. If he does, bishop e7's very easily playable, I think. Or the rook just goes here and, you know, keeps my bishop staring at that square, unfortunately. We do have bishop here with tempo on the knight, though, if I can draw an arrow correctly. Such that after they move the knight, we could maybe drop back to g6 at some point to then be able to move this. But again, h4, h5 is a very scary thing indeed. I'm going to start with knight c6. Okay, develop two pieces. We've got the bishop looking at a reasonable diagonal. Kind of achieved what we want to achieve. Knight here. I'll go for it. There is maybe bishop d3, but if you play bishop d3... I get to... Hold on, we do have this check. Hold on a second. Is it worth giving this check, king f1, and just vaguely hoping that the dislodging of that king is worth it? If I don't give this check, I'm going to be regretting it immensely. Let's give the check. You've got to move the king. Okay. If I do this, there might be a rook sack, and then taking the pony here, which would kind of suck, honestly. The thing is, I have kind of wasted a tempo, because I will have to come back out here. But for the dislodging of this king, you've got to assume it's vaguely worth it, right? Honestly... Queen d7, I want to be on the queen side. I want to be on the flipping queen side. Now, opponent might have bishop d3 here, to which I guess I could play knight b4, bishop f5, queen f5. Doesn't seem entirely ridiculous. I keep saying opponent, this is Witty flipping Alien. I'm in default video recording mode. Oh, wow. Yeah, if this is going to be the sack. Okay, well, I guess that's kind of partially why we defended the bishop. I think I should bring my knight out. Yeah, we don't want to allow that. Although, actually, you're not threatening to take just yet, because then, I mean, I still defend this. Oh, no, but you have bishop d3. So, of course, I do not still defend that at all. Let's bring the pony back out to b4. Of course, it will be sitting there, sitting pretty for a while, as it can't be dislodged with a3 or c3. Okay, this seems reasonable. This for sure seems reasonable. This rook seems at least a little loose. I think probably it'll be quite easy for him to just play knight f3 and h4 and h5 and try and really get at me quite quickly here. So my kind of next few moves, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world to play g6, especially if I go queenside actually. Knight comes in here though. Now we can kick that knight. It is possible, of course. Do we want to do such a thing? It does induce a bit of a weakness around where we might want to be castled, but leaving it here, I don't know. We also maybe have bishop c2, hit the queen and hit the pawn. Okay, bishop c2. You have two moves with the queen. Let's say queen d2 happens. We take here. For some reason, I kind of like this. Okay, this might not be the right priority here, but we are going to go in. We're going to put pressure on a weak pawn. We might even take it and then just try and play on the queen side, open up the rook, etc. I think bishop c2 makes sense there, but I am definitely scared about like here and check, and if I play bishop e7, this hanging, pinning all my pieces. However, there is definitely a lack of development on the king side. It does decide to go across, okay. Oh, with a potential discovery setup with the bishop. We can't immediately take, actually, which I didn't realize for a second. I should probably castle queenside, then we are threatening to take. Let's do it. Now we're threatening to take this. Rook to e8 seems like a good idea. I'm also now very much not scared of losing pawns around here, because actually, probably that's going to provide activity towards attacking his king. If you want to defend the pawn now, you could try knight c3, but we could still take, because if knight takes, there's queen takes. There's no b3 clearly. I mean, there's just a distinct lack of development over on the king side, which is exactly what I want to see, because development is a scary thing in the hands of such a man. Gives the check. Oh no. You can play like c5 or something. Oh no. Okay, well, I mean, we'll make our only legal move. How is that pawn hanging? On what planet is that pawn hanging? Okay, honestly, I'm not even ashamed to admit that I didn't see that. What the hell is his rook doing on g5? How am I supposed to be, you know, the general patterns that you recall playing this game do not account for a rook on g5 and your a5 pawn hanging. I guess I have to play like this, or maybe we could play here. I need to hold my knight now. If here, I guess maybe c5? Yeah, and I think I'm in a lot of trouble if that happens. I could play the move knight a6 here, disconnect the rook from the defense of the knight. The knight goes back. I don't want to then take here because I'm just opening up that file. Here, knight here. No, at that point c6. Surely we're trapping this rook at some point, right, guys? If knight here, I guess takes. That doesn't seem ridiculous. Here. I do need to move. I really like the idea of trying to push and play bishop b4 somehow. How is this happening? 96 here. I just can't, my brain can't even comprehend that position. What on earth? Genuinely just what on earth? Right, I'm gonna play knight c6. He likely takes. I'll recapture with the queen. The rook is somehow on a5. I thought for sure in a rapid game he couldn't get away with this, but apparently he absolutely has. Takes. I mean, it's possible that he doesn't even take here. Like knight b5 could be a... Oh no. Oh no, hold on. If knight b5 and I take the rook, there's just then queen takes with the threat of queen here, but actually... Okay, hold on. There's a brief glimmer of hope here, because if I take the rook, queen takes, yes, it looks like I'm completely toasted, but at the same time, a8's held. You can't play c5 very quickly. I feel like I should be at least trying to have some claim to an advantage here. Takes. c6, let's say. At the same time, this rook can't move, and it is attacked. If I do this to try and play bishop here, we're going to see this and then c5. What if I just ignore everything and play rook e8? How ridiculous does that seem? There's no, like, sacrifice mate with then the queen check, because the knight would just hold, but also, you know, a8's held. I'm playing rook e8. We're going for this. The rook is now in a interesting situation, for sure, to say the very, very least. To say just the bare minimum about this situation. The bishop's now pinned, and so I'm... What the hell? He's trying to provoke me to take this. What? Here? I guess I now can never develop this bishop. That kind of sucks. I was hoping to be able to try and take this because of the pin. I mean, maybe we could still go for it here and taking here. Let's say we do take. Queen takes. I really do hate that idea. Although, one sec. Here, queen takes. Bishop here. We're threatening to just remove the knight. Queen a7, king c8. I'm going for it. I may have just signed my death warrant, but we take this and we just try and remove that knight. You have the check. I go here. The knight holds a8. Absolutely crucially, of course. And now if you can't leave the knight here because I'm going to try and take it and then try and, you know, take this pawn and actually have some breathing room, then I guess you could put it back on c3. Knight c3 here. Okay, my time is definitely running low though, as per usual. We're going to have to just do our best to go absolutely Super Saiyan here. We have the rook for the pony, you know, which is really all that I can hope for. I flip it, I was about to say. I'm imagining a sacrifice here and then taking this. I don't know how ridiculous that seems. It does give this knight development. I don't know about it. I think it's pretty weak. Maybe just g6 now. I don't see an immediate follow-up. Oh, I see b3 is what I see. How is that a threat? On what... How? This sucks. This sucks so bad, but I think I need to do it because I think otherwise I'm getting hit with b3 and I don't see how to untangle here. And I do not have enough time to consider ways to untangle. This is held. I don't think we're now getting trapped, although this b3 is a potential fork. Yeah, Man, it's fun to get toasted. If here, then b3 is just still a move somehow. Yeah, b3. I guess I try and take here, but there is just queen takes. And at this point, very little to be done. Takes. What am I doing? Move. Oh no, then there's going to be knight c6. So I've got to go here. Okay. Yeah, this is where it all falls down, as Kanye West said. There's now no knight c6. Here. Check. Here. Just wax the knight there, and then I'm frankly toast, I'd imagine. Damn! Okay, so here we are in an analysis. This is a few days later. I'm going back to have a little look at this game in some proper depth. I had a brief glance after the game straight away, but instead of delving deeply into an analysis, I hopped on a Discord call with Witty. But a 2000 performance rating, definitely decent. I mean, a very good opening. I think the ideas of going for knight b4 with the pressure on c2 and giving that check was probably one of the best ways to play against this specific opening. But if we have a little look at the graph here, I mean, up until, you know, around this point, it doesn't really fluctuate much. Okay, look, this is a +2 advantage. This is nearly a -2 advantage. We do some generous rounding. But staying within that kind of +or -2, and most of this being relatively drawish stuff, or rather not drawish, but at least equal winning chances. The game didn't really run away from me too much at any point. I think mostly it was a time management issue. And there was one main thing that if I'd realized, would have had such a bigger chance of winning the game. Anyway, let's go through the game. So e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, c4, knight b6. Playing out Alekhine's defense, of course, named after Alexander Alekhine. And he goes for this a4 idea here. Now, if I play d6, which I'm sure is vaguely what he was hoping for, or I mean, to be fair, he's probably not hoping for anything. Probably also very excited to lift the rook. However, there's this line with a5, the knight goes back, and then e6, sacking this pawn. The point being that you can get lines with the weakness of this diagonal, like for instance d4 here, and then like bishop here, and if you take, then you're getting toasted with a nice queen sack. An unnecessary, but of course, stylish queen sack checkmate. I feel like that should not be a brilliant move. I don't know why chess.com's giving that brilliant, given that this is also mate in 2. So anyway, in order to not allow this idea of a5 kicking the knight back and then just the rampage of pawns, I instead go for this move a5 myself, which is basically the other way to not lose this pony here. I might as well mention, if you play a move like g6, you are just getting your knight trapped. There are no moves for the knight. So yeah, a5's played, and then here, a video, and in fact, the biggest video I have ever made in terms of views. Emery Tate invented a chess opening. It's got like 1.1 million views. I'm very happy about that. Was covering a game in this exact position after rook a3, this very early, slightly inaccurate, but also extremely dynamic and novel rook lift, with that rook having mobility all the way to come across to g3 to apply pressure down here. If black goes for a kind of standard castling kingside, then, you know, h4, h5, as I mentioned, rains down on the kingside. So I go for d6 here, takes, and then taking with the pawn. The rook does come across. At this point, you know, it says inaccuracy, but anything that stays within +or -1, to me, is just extremely playable. I mean, the practical chances created here, you know, subduing this bishop. If bishop e7, then apparently rook takes g7 isn't even a great idea. Perhaps we have bishop h4, maybe? Oh, and we try and just cut the rook off from ever being able to retreat. Again, super, super interesting stuff. But I go for this approach with bishop f5, then knight e6, and then knight b4. So this is best, and then great, which is awesome. My opening knowledge evidently very good in the specific opening, as it damn well should be. The amount of ad revenue I got from this exact opening was just a wonderful Christmas present in December 2022. He goes for bishop e2, which is a great move, and one of the only moves here. I mean, you need to be able to move the king. If you play bishop d3 here, then we can play knight takes d3, and if you play rook takes, then I guess we just trade this off, and we're up material, and you don't really have much play. So bishop e2 is excellent from him. He finds that. Going in for the check was in fact a mistake. I kind of thought it might be, just because we're dislodging the king, but it's not like we can put any pressure on this king immediately. Actually going for either g6, bishop g7, and maybe castles, or queen e7 and pinning up this bishop seems to have been more appropriate. This is still very decent, even though it says mistake. Again, it's within that +or -1 realm, and it does create some practical chances, i.e. he can't castle. However, I didn't really think about the idea that, look, if bishop g6, there's going to be rook takes g6, pawn takes, and then queen takes the knight here. So at this point, I decided to play queen d7. I really want to get myself castle queenside, because I'm very scared of the impending h4, knight f3, knight g5, h5, etc., etc., the two rooks. I'm also thinking part of moving this king across to f1 means that this rook is going to find it significantly harder to get over here. Now, if I castle kingside, this rook is perfectly placed here, whereas going queenside means that, I don't know, at least this rook being all the way over here kind of stuck seems to be more of an objective disadvantage. So he goes rook g5. I didn't even think for a second about the fact that this was putting pressure on a5. Stepping back with the knight is, of course, the move that prevents him sacking for the bishop and then taking here. I also mentioned if I castle here, he can take, because after takes, there's bishop d3, and I'm definitely losing this knight. So knight b4 was good. I played the start of this game really well, I think. The knight comes in. Bishop c2 is the best move. Queen here, queenside castles was the best move. And then apparently it said inaccuracy. Okay, I'm a little confused because the engine seems to be suggesting queenside castles is the best move, but then giving it inaccuracy. It's clearly a practical idea, getting my king out of the e-file, out of the way of this, getting the rook potentially to the e-file, and getting out of the way of any discovery here. He goes for knight a7, and I missed the fact that after king b8, he can take on a5 here. Now, if he'd had to go back, I wouldn't have felt very scared about knight a7. That would kind of been a waste of tempo. I mean, just the board geometry to think rook a3, rook g3, rook g5, rook a5, to then be supporting a knight here, like, come on. A complete oversight. Anyway, he takes, and then I'm so annoyed because I genuinely considered here the move d5, and this was probably the key move. And there's free key lines with after d5, c5, I can play knight to d3. If he takes, of course, we get to take with check, and then probably everything falls apart. We can bounce the knight into c4, and so then the queen would have to move to d2, and at this point, queen f5 could be played, and somehow, after takes here, oh my lord, that would be mate, sorry. Not even somehow, this is an obvious mate threat that also protects this. I kind of just thought the queen was going here for the sake of protecting our knight, but it does also come with mate. I mean, there's no way I'm going to calculate that deeply, but my instinct to try to play d5 was probably a decent one, because once he played d5, I feel like there was, I was just claustrophobic, I was so cramped. But anyway, we play knight back to c6, not terrible, but not fantastic. And then instead of taking, which he easily could have gone for, queen takes, and then ostensibly d5 here would have been a good idea. Queen d7, queen c3. And if I like come all the way back with the bishop, then apparently h4 is the best move. I guess the point is that he's just got an absolute bind here. This knight is trash. I'm not taking the rook, and at some point that's going to be problematic. He's also just up a pawn with somehow a very safe king. Instead he goes knight b5 though. Now, if I'd taken this straight away, then queen takes a5 would have provided very reasonable counterplay. This double outposted knight would have been pretty disgusting. And so instead I played rook e8, which is actually another great move. Okay, I feel like I was cooking up until now. Here, knight takes a5, queen takes, bishop takes a4, another great move. I'd actually played this game pretty fantastically up until here, but the main realization that I believe I mentioned earlier was that after knight here, I had my mouse literally hovering with the pawn over the g6 square.
Maybe just g6 now.
All I had to do was let go. But then a little alien on my shoulder whispered into my ear that after g6, oh look, this can be b3 trapping a bishop. But of course, we play bishop g7, attack the knight, and should you take the bishop, I can take the knight, bishop could come here, everything's solidified, a4 is going to be hanging, I'm up material, everything would have been fine. So b3 would not have been a move there. After g6, I play bishop g7, the bishop isn't really in danger of getting trapped, and maybe there's a more appropriate point when I have a bit more development where the idea of the rook sack to take this makes a little more sense, especially if I wait for, like, for instance, the knight to take here. Then at this point, oh, it's actually a brilliant move, or maybe just a great move. Yeah, damn. So right idea, but absolutely wrong execution. The point is we're removing the defender. They want to take with the king, and then we can take like this with tempo on the queen. We open up the king. I mean, there's all sorts of ideas. If they take with the knight here, which seems, generally speaking, more reasonable so that you can, I guess, no, I was about to say so you can castle, but they clearly can't castle. I guess we take here, and this just has worse implications. I mean, I guess the rook is even slower to come out here. So that rook sack idea with the pressure on c4, all I had to see was that after g6, b3 isn't a threat because of bishop to g7 here. Unfortunately, time got a bit low, I got a bit stressed, and instead of playing that, I decided to sack the rook one move prematurely, and after the knight takes, take on c4. At this point, by the way, it is still an equal winning chances game, apart from the fact that I have a minute left, and after queen b4, I'm not finding move knight e5 such that after b3, I can play the move c5. I'm just not finding that. Not with a minute left. I mean, maybe it's possible, and the problem was that after here, if they do go for b3, we can't play c5 anymore because this hangs in the end, I think. So yeah, just some shambolic stuff, and then after this point, I mean b3. We do take here, we do then take here, play g6, and apparently a missed win. Bishop g7, I thought the knight could go here, here, rook g8. The bishop goes back. I mean, this is a more resilient endgame, maybe because I've got a bunch of passed pawns here. I just thought it was a way for him to force trades and just have a couple pieces. Anyway, I mean, whatever the evaluation is here, I had 22 seconds. So I go for rook here. I mean, yeah, we trade this off. c5. I was never going to win at this point. I think it was mainly a time issue, and then of course he comes in ruthlessly swarming my king. But unfortunately, however well I was playing, it was costing me a lot of time to play at that level, and it was costing him not even close to the same amount of time. Who'd have thought Witty Alien was fast at chess? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. A huge thank you to Witty Alien, genuinely my favorite chess content creator on the platform. I'm honored to be able to call him a friend. You guys need to go and check out his channel if you haven't already. I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, go to his most recent video, learn the Martian Gambit. Go and play it in the ladder and just collect your free wins and brilliant moves. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. One day I'm gonna beat this man at chess. One day. It may take me 1 year, it may take me 2, it may take me 50, but it'll happen. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.